find other great podcasts like this one at podmoth.network.
There we go. Now that's what I call
that's
a big
the biggest spike of them all.
Oh?
That's how she lines up the audio tracks.
Oh, okay.
I make the spikes be on top of each other like bunk beds, and then everything's lined up.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. We learned that from the Stoner Chicks, actually. We were just kind of like, higgledy-piggledy.
Another podcast.
Yeah.
Because it just sounds more official. It's like coming into a movie, like the clicky thing.
Yes.
Action, yeah. You know what I mean. Our listeners couldn't see me moving my hand up and down.
Clipper board.
Yeah.
No, it's the clapper. Is it the clapper board?
That sounds right.
Board. Clapper board.
The clapper board. I have a clapper. Do you know what a clapper is, Daisy?
No.
Oh my god, there were these infomercials in like the 90s and early 2000s. There's a product, and I think it is targeted towards old people, but anyone can use this product because my boyfriend does have it in his home. But it's where you can turn the lights on and off by clapping.
Oh, like clapping.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And he did give me one for my birthday, so now I too have a clapper. It's not hooked up yet.
That's great.
But
are you gonna do the like living room, or are you gonna do your bedroom?
Ooh, I hadn't even thought of that. I was gonna do the living room so that I can come home in the most jazzy fashion. I can just step into my home and be like, lights! Yes.
Exactly.
I
love it.
That's what I would do if I was rich. I'd just run around my house clapping.
Your mom would get you the clapper if you... let me say it a different way. The cost is not the problem, I feel, for your mom, my sister. The problem would be the noise of clapping all the time that she wouldn't like.
Because they are, I think, like $25 to $30. So you do not have to be rich to have a clapper.
You just have to not overuse it. You have to show some tact.
You just have to live alone like me.
I can't live alone yet. I wish.
No. All right, let's start this thing.
In olden days, a glimpse of femur was only for morbid dreamers, but you're not alone. Bring anything bones. Two goofy gals with deathly interest go on a skeleton inquest in your headphones. Anything bones.
Hello and welcome to Anything Bones. I'm Sophie Divine Providence Schwartz.
And I'm Katelyn. What's that flying in the sky? Heart. And today, Sophie and I have a guest, and more like physically true, there's a guest sitting next to me, and she is the best person that I know, the strongest person that I know.
I agree.
Our teen correspondent on the ground, singer, tennis star, 14-year-old badass, my niece Daisy.
Yay!
Woo! Welcome, Daisy. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
I'm very excited. I can't wait to brag about this to my cousins.
Hell yeah. Tell all the cousins you're the favorite.
I am.
Clearly. The first guest on the I think you're the first family member I have had on the podcast.
Good.
Is that true?
Yeah. I had my brother.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
It's me now.
I am brother.
I am the brother.
Look at me. I am the brother now.
I am the center of attention.
Hell yeah, you are. You are the guest. The guest of honor.
Indeed.
Where's my throne?
You're sitting on a velvet plush office chair.
It's not royal enough.
Whoa. Well, I believe Katelyn has a second velvet chair, so that one's not to your liking.
Yeah,
I can just swap it out.
Lots of chairs in here.
I guess I could do that if, you want me to. But...
No. Your comfort is important to me, but not that important. I'm just kidding.
God.
That's why you made me sleep on the couch.
I did. Oh my God. I have a creepy story about last night to tell everyone.
Ooh.
Daisy's, is it okay if I tell this?
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Daisy had her razor on my bathroom counter, and in the middle of the night, Minnie, my cat, got in there and brought it to the living room. She brought a razor to the living room.
Minnie.
And as soon as I told my parents, they were like, oh my God, is she okay?
That's what I said.
Yeah.
I was so concerned. It's like, why does the cat have my razor?
Well, she could be some sort of serial killer cat, or she could
I'm all for that.
Yeah, I mean, which nobody is complaining about. But she could be part of like a 1950s street gang, maybe?
That would be awesome.
She's trying to get out there with her razor. She's gonna go do a West Side Story with the other cats.
Hopefully not with me. I prefer not to be shaved by a cat. I'll say that now.
She's like, wake up, Daisy, we gotta go dance fight some cats.
I'm in.
Get your razor. I've already got it. Here you go.
We need another razor.
Oh my goodness. That's funny and also pretty terrifying.
Yeah, it was a weird thing to find when I came into the living room this morning.
I was very concerned. And wasn't I like completely asleep?
Well, yeah, I started laughing because I was like, why would first it was confusion first. It was like, why would this be here? And then realization like, oh, it's probably the cat that wreaks havoc in the middle of the night in the apartment and loves to just move things around randomly. So yeah, it was just weird and just adds to her creepy vibe.
I mean, the lore of Minnie, the little marmalade cat, is growing.
Yeah.
Not as
my
cute
God.
and defenseless as you think.
My dad, I just found out yesterday, my dad had an Aunt Minnie.
Hey! That's
Isn't
a
that
fun
cool?
coincidence. Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Did they call her Mama Ginger Tree?
I hope not. Yeah, if I didn't say this on the podcast before, Minnie's shelter name was Mama Ginger Tree, which was confusing to us all.
Yeah.
I don't know why you didn't keep it, honestly.
Me neither. Yeah, it's super strange.
It's pretty funny, though.
All right. I mean, I don't know. Should we get right into some stories?
Yeah, I think it's about that time, judging by the bone clock that I have on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
So, when thinking about choosing a topic to share with you, I wanted to do something that would interest you. You like listening to the podcast, and I wanted to do something extra special for you.
Oh.
And I thought, as a 29-year-old woman, I know what teens like.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
And teens like witchcraft, heresy, and dressing like a man.
Maybe not the last one for me specifically, but yes. I like where this is going.
We're going to be talking Joan of Arc.
Oh, hell yeah.
I thought it was appropriate because she got up to a lot of her, most infamous activities when she was starting around your age, Daisy.
Wow. Nice one. That's a good choice.
Thank you.
I'm excited.
I'm excited too. I definitely learned a lot. I thought I knew a bit about Joan of Arc, but I didn't.
Oh, there's a lot more than like what you hear about from like school, if you heard about it there.
I think so, and we're gonna have a fun twist at the end.
I'm excited. I love plot twists. I'll spend the whole time trying to figure out what it is. So I might not everything might not click in my head, but because
There'll be a time for you to put it together. There'll be a time to put some clues together. So before we dig into Joan of Arc, let's get our sources. We've got one from Nature, Wikipedia, New York Times, All Things Interesting, The Guardian, history.com and Britannica.com.
Can I just quickly say, if your first source is nature, did you just like walk outside?
I mean the journal Nature, but yes, I did walk outside.
But did you go outside?
I did, and I asked the wind and the stars and the moon what my topic should be, and they came down and was like, "Hey, you done Joan of Arc yet?" And I was like,
they know me so well.
No, yeah. That's a great one for Daisy. Thank you. That's how I
sent them. I sent them to you from my house.
Oh, thank you. That was very helpful.
You're welcome.
All right. So let us throw ourselves back to the year of Joan of Arc's birth, 1412.
Wonderful.
Quite a while ago.
It's very dusty. We're in rural France.
It's only a couple years.
Yeah, just a handful. So 1412 is when Joan of Arc is born. She's born to a tenant farmer and a very religious mother.
Oh.
So starting off strong already.
Yep.
So even though Joan of Arc was never taught to read or write, her mother would recite like religious texts to her and really instilled in her strong faith that she's known for. So at this time, the English were occupying Joan of Arc's village, and they were threatening to invade all of the villages around where she lived. So she lived...
Nice of them.
Yeah, right? Well, you know, the English are known for a couple of things, and their biggest one is going off and invaded places that they shouldn't be at. But at the age of 13, Joan of Arc began to hear voices that she believed were messages from God telling her that she had a very special mission to save France from the English invasion.
No big deal.
Yeah,
no big deal.
Just a little thing.
Well, a lot to put on a 13-year-old's
Yeah.
shoulders. Daisy, if you heard someone telling you have to save all of France, that seems stressful.
That would be very confusing. I've never been to France.
Daisy, France needs you.
Oh
Where's your passport?
I don't have one. I literally don't have one. That's my problem.
Lord, I am a teen.
I don't know. My mom doesn't want me to go anywhere without her, so can I bring my mom with me to save France?
Sure.
Okay. It's like I need a permission slip to slave the world.
Mom, I have been called to save France. Can you sign this? And the second part of her mission was to make sure that Charles was installed as like the rightful king of France. And as part of this mission, she took a vow of chastity at the age of 16. Her father tried to arrange a marriage for her, but she brought this issue up with kind of her local council and was like, hey, I have vowed to be chaste. I'm not going to get married. And they were like, you know what? We'll take that. You don't have to get married.
Same.
So in May of 1428, she leaves her village and ends up going to a stronghold where Charles, the monarch that she's trying to install as King of France, because right now it's all under English control, is hanging out. And she goes to this guy, Robert de Barricourt.
Dang.
That sounds very fancy.
He's a very fancy guy.
Monocle or no?
Oh, definitely monocle.
Do you know what a monocle is?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. I was just making sure.
I used to put sorry I interrupted you, but I used to put monocles on I used to play this princess dress up game, and then I would put dresses on the princesses, and then there was an option for the quote unquote male accessories, so I would always give my princesses a monocle. I never knew why, but I just
That's
it felt
amazing.
Right. It felt right.
I support this 100%. Those princesses are out here solving old Sherlock Holmes style mysteries with their monocles.
Exactly.
Yeah, they might be farsighted. You don't know. They might need that monocle
princesses.
to
Don't
do
judge
their.
them.
Yeah.
Hey, princesses aren't perfect, just like everyone else. So she goes to this guy, Robert, and is like, hey, I would like to fight for France. And he's like, no. And while she's kind of debating with him and trying to get him to allow her to fight for France, she's spreading her message, and she gains a small group of followers. And she finally is able to convince this guy to give her some actual soldiers. So then she says, excellent, it's time to fight for France. She chops off her hair, starts dressing in men's clothes, and starts marching to where the crown prince's palace is at. She's like, okay, step 1, fight for France. Step 2, install this guy as king.
Okay, solid plan.
Step 1 is to cross-dress.
Oh, yes. We forgot about that. Step 1, get your outfit ready. Step 2, acquire an army.
That seems doable.
Yeah, get ready with me.
Yeah, exactly.
OOTD.
Yeah, it's mostly chainmail.
Get ready with me to fight for France.
Yeah, exactly.
LOL.
100,000 subscriber special.
Yes, oh my god. So, when Joan gets to this palace, she goes to Charles and she says, hey, I'm gonna make you king. And she's like a 16-year-old girl being like, hey, full-grown man, I'm gonna make you king. And he's like, hell yeah, you can try.
Yeah, give it your best shot.
He's up for it.
He's up for it. He's like, yeah, sure.
I guess. I mean...
Yeah. So she asks him as well to give her an army to march to Orleans to defend France against the English. And most of the advisors for the would-be king are like, don't do it, man. She's just a little girl. Why would you give her an army? But Charles is like, you know what? I want to see where this goes. So he gives her the men she requests, sends her off to Orleans, which is like pretty big.
I'm surprised. That's probably very, very rare in the 1400s.
Yeah, exactly. This is 1429, not exactly known for, like, rights for women.
Not only is she a woman, she's a very young woman.
Yeah, and one of the things that I find interesting about the story of Joan of Arc is that, like, she has this, like, religious passion, right? And there's an argument to be made about, like, what her mental state was. But, teenage girls and teenage femmes tend to feel very passionately and strongly about things and have a strong sense of justice. And, this particular young woman was in the right place in the right time where she felt like she could, like, actually do something about it. And I think it's interesting that, she ends up going to Orleans and she charges, in on a white horse, and she ends up pushing back this army so that they have to retreat, this enemy army, so that they have to retreat back over a river. So she ends up kicking total ass.
Right on.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And she's only a couple years older than you when she's doing this, just like chainmailed up, like time to fucking murder. I just think it's insane to think about.
Yeah, I don't know how close I am to doing that, but
I'm a lot older than 16 and I don't want to do that.
It's not that I want to. It's like I could I?
Yeah, physically are we capable?
Like,
yeah.
Am I like would I? Probably not.
Probably not, but who knows? Riding into battle on a white horse sounds pretty kick-ass to me.
It was a different time. I mean, you had to make a statement if you were going to get noticed.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything against the French either, so I don't know why I would.
Or the English.
Yeah, they're not that bad.
So after her pretty astounding victory, her reputation is like spreading around the French forces, and she's able to then escort Charles, the would-be king, back into France where they traditionally crown the kings, and she gets him crowned as king, Charles the 7th, in July of 1429. So she's fulfilling her promise. She's like, I told you you'd be king, and where are you now, bitch?
Yeah, started from the bottom, now you're here.
So fast forwarding a little bit, in spring of 1430, the king orders Charles, he orders Joan to go confront some English forces. And in her efforts to defend this town from English forces, she's riding, on her horse, and she falls off her horse, and she is trapped outside of the gates of the city, and she is captured by the English.
Oh.
I know.
Come on, man.
Y'all knew this wasn't going to end well.
No. No, it's not.
So they, of course, end up capturing her, and they make a big deal of bringing her back to, one of these English captured French castles because, like I said, she's gained quite a reputation now, so she's become something of a symbol to other French fighters. And so now that she's captured, it's a big morale hit to the French. And they end up bringing her up on about 70 different charges that they're going to put her to trial for, which include witchcraft, heresy, and dressing like a man.
You can... okay, yeah, I was going to say you can be charged for those things, and then I was like, yeah, all right, I see it. You could just be charged for anything, then.
It's 1430. You can be charged for, I don't know, making the stink eye to the cross.
You looked at Jesus the wrong way.
And now you're gonna die. Now you're gonna meet him.
Oh my gosh.
There's no way she's gonna get out of this.
You
have hope.
You think she gonna get out of this?
I mean, maybe not, alive. I'm gonna stop talking.
Of course, the more public reasons for this trial are that they're accusing her of, having this false relationship with God. They're accusing her of this cross-dressing, and they're acting like it's mostly, religiously and socially motivated, but it's politically motivated. They're looking to take her out because she's both a symbol of heroism to France and a really good fighter just in and of herself. So this is an excellent opportunity to just get rid of her. And this whole trial was all stacked against her. So they made her case less of one through the judicial system and more through the church. It was a church trial. So she was standing trial against 131 members of clergy, only 8 of which were French.
Oh, perfect.
That's not biased at all.
No, certainly not. And, of course, who's footing the bill for this trial? Who's paying the lawyers? Who's paying the judge? Oh, that would be the English.
Yeah, it's almost like, why even have a trial? I mean, I'm glad they did. It's we know the outcome from the start.
Yeah, it's all a sham. And they knew the outcome from the start, too. And they didn't even really bother to give her, what was considered due process at the time. It's noted in these records that when she was captured, she should have been guarded by women. Instead, she was guarded by a bunch of big burly men. She was interrogated mercilessly, and she wasn't even told what the charges were against her until well after they started interrogating her.
Yeah, how are you going to protect yourself if you don't know what you're being charged with?
Yeah, I mean, it's an utter miscarriage of justice, but,
I don't know what I did, but I didn't do it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, how are you supposed to be like, and I am not guilty of whatever you think I did, but I didn't do it. But she knew. She knew what they wanted from her. Even some of the clerics, these clerics who were putting her under trial, ended up stepping down because they thought the treatment of her was unethical. So these, biased English clerics were like, this has gone too far for me.
Yeah, and is she still 16 at this point, or is she a little bit older? I mean...
She's a little bit older. She's around 18 or 19.
Oh my god.
So still in full, not an adult yet.
Early adulthood, for sure. Early adulthood,
yeah.
Very.
They also found, when historians were looking back through these records, they found that several of the clergy members believed that a bunch of evidence against her was falsified. They had enough evidence of what she actually did, but they just decided to just stack more shit on top of that, just so they made absolutely fucking sure they were gonna get her.
Yeah.
My god.
Yeah, but she definitely did give them a run for her money. Many of the clerics wrote in their records that her composure during the whole thing was exemplary, and that, when faced with these hours and hours long interrogations, she really didn't crack at all. And, when they questioned her, they would ask her these, trap questions. An example was, they asked her if she was in God's grace. And, this is a trap. Apparently, I'm Jewish, so I didn't totally get this, but it's, it's a clergy thing, that, the trap was that if she said that she was in God's grace, she would be charged with heresy. If she said that she wasn't, she would be confessing her own guilt somehow. So instead of answering like they wanted her to, she said she hoped that God would put her there in his grace, and if she was in God's grace, she hoped she would stay there, which was a real oh snap moment in the trial.
I guess, yeah. That's definitely not what they expected her to say, I bet, because I'm sure everybody's like, of course I am.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it was a trick question, it was set up for her to incriminate herself. But she was like, not on your life, bitches. And during all this time, King Charles makes no recorded attempt to save her.
Oh, thanks a lot.
Excuse me?
Right? The guy who she made king, who she spent her teenhood making king, he's like, oh, you're in jail? That sucks. Not much I can do. You're the king of France, guy. I bet there's something you could do.
You could at least try.
Yeah, my girl Joan put you there.
Yeah.
Pay her back. Get her out.
Yeah, exactly.
That would make this so much easier if you weren't just basking in your own glory.
Yeah, he's busy. This is during the 100 Years' War, so he's like trying to finish 100 Years' War, which is still no excuse for not rescuing the woman who put you on the throne. But in spite of her resilience in her questioning, she finally breaks down after over a year of being in captivity, and she, with some assistance, because remember, the woman cannot read or write, she signs a confession to these crimes.
Oh, no.
I know. And then, so, she was not quite sentenced to death yet, but she has a last act of rebellion when she's in jail. She's like, you know what? Fuck it. And she starts wearing men's clothes again, and that really pisses them off, and they're like, that's it, you're getting executed. And she's
That's a way to go out, though.
Right? I think you gotta go out, doing your thing and believing in what,
exactly.
Your principles are. Yeah. So she's like, fuck it, if I'm gonna go down, I'm gonna go down dressed how I want to be dressed.
If you're gonna kill me, I'm gonna piss everyone off before it.
Hell fucking yeah. So, on the morning of May 30th, 1431, at the age of 19, they bring Joan of Arc to be burnt at the stake.
Just so awful. The worst way to go that I can think of.
Yeah.
Like the guillotine, I guess.
Guillotine fast. This very slow. Because she didn't die of her burns. She died of asphyxiation from the smoke.
Oh my god.
Oh,
that's hideous.
Yeah. But, the judge of this trial still wasn't satisfied with just burning her once, because it was said that he then had her corpse cremated, and then when they tried to cremate her corpse, her heart and other organs, it's rumored, were still intact, which is later used as a fuel for canonizing her as a saint.
Sure.
It's one of these, miraculous things. So he burns her remains a third time, and then sprinkles those ashes into the Seine.
Wow. He hated her so much.
He hated her. But rumors and stories persisted that perhaps she escaped, or some of her remains were snatched before they could be burned in the second and third fires.
I bet there's a lot of bits of Joan that people claim to have all over the world.
That's what we're going to talk about.
Yes!
Oh.
So, of course, she was canonized in 1920, so she is officially a saint. As you guys just so smartly pointed out, being learned bone experts, you know that where there's saints, there's relics. So, we're going to talk about Bits of Joan.
Oh, no.
Bits o' Joan.
Bits of Joan. So, fast forwarding a little bit, we're in 1867, and there's a jar of ashes that are found in an attic in a Paris apothecary that are marked to be the ashes of Joan of Arc.
Huh.
So they are kept in a museum and lauded as her remains. And so, in this little box, there is some linen, there is a jar of ashes, and then there is a cat femur or a hip bone. We'll get to it. So a very strange set of relics.
Yeah.
Is there like any way to tell whether or not, like at least like then, is there any way to tell that it's actually like Joan of Arc, or are they just guessing?
In the early 1900s, when the scientists of those days were taking a look at it, they were basically guessing, and they thought that it was her. But my keen-eyed friend, in 2006, a man named Philippe Charlier, who is a forensic scientist, and about 20 other researchers were given permission by the French church to examine these cremated remains to see if they are her. Yeah.
Oh my! I think this might be the plot twist.
Here is the twist.
Oh my gosh.
So again, like I said, they don't have a lot to work with here. Basically, the relics are a charred-looking human rib, chunks of what look like wood, and a little bit of linen, and a cat femur. And the cat femur is interesting because a little bit of witch lore for you. In medieval times, when they would burn a witch, sometimes they would throw in the bones of a black cat onto her pyre.
Huh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's weird.
Yeah, I had never heard of that.
I'm pretty sure like black cats are like very often associated with witches.
Sure.
So these researchers decided to use a couple of really interesting techniques to examine these remains and figure out if they did indeed belong to Joan. They used our favorite mass, infrared, and atom immersion spectrometer. Mass spectrom. How do you even say it?
The mass spectrometer?
Yeah, spectronomy. I don't know.
Sounds right.
Thank you, Daisy. They also used an electron microscope, pollen analysis, and they hired several perfume experts to smell the remains.
What?
Hell yeah.
That
Hell
is a
yeah.
twist. Is that the twist?
It's part of the twist, baby. So this...
How would they know what she smells like if it was like over like 200 years ago?
They're like, she used herbal essences. It's gotta be her.
She uses Bath and Body Works.
Oh my goodness. So this is a technique that's like called odor analysis, and it is actually like a new scientific technique in paleopathology. And he says that basically the idea is that different remains from different historical times and ways that they died have different smells.
So they can like smell like the what was it called? What did she how did she die? Like with it was something like with like the effects from the fire. They would be able to tell if she was burned. Exactly. Yeah, that would be part of the smell. Okay, I see.
Yes.
Okay, let's go.
So they hire 2 perfume experts who are like, these people have like, quote unquote, some of the best noses in the world. And they have 2 of them smell these samples of these remains separately and not fur with each other, and then take their notes to take a look. And basically what they said that they both smelled hints of burnt plaster and vanilla. Interestingly enough, the plaster smell is consistent with Joan of Arc because she was burned on a plaster stake, not a wooden stake, so that it would last longer.
Oh, yeah. God.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's hideous. But the vanilla smell is actually inconsistent with it being Joan of Arc because vanillin, which is produced during the decomposition of a body, would not be present in someone who was cremated.
Yeah.
So they end up going over like a chemical and microscopic analysis of the black like crust on the rib and the cat femur, and it is not actually burnt, but it is like a plant and vegetative and mineral material on these bones. So they're not charred, they're like stained.
Huh.
She like buried?
Well, they say this tissue isn't burnt. So it's probably not
her.
Yeah.
Probably not her. But this black material was consistent with a mix of wood resins, bitumen, and chemicals such as malachite. There was also gypsum in there, and there was a piece of linen. Now, what does this make you guys think of?
Wasn't there linen in that box with the ashes?
Mm-hmm. But what does bitumen and wood resin make you think of? A type of burial technique.
Like a cross or something? Like, did they...
Is it cremation?
No.
I feel like I'm on Jeopardy.
We're both just like,
yeah, I'll share you one last clue. There was a lot of pine pollen present, and these pine trees didn't grow in Normandy at the time that Joan of Arc was alive, but I'll tell you where they were widely used for embalming: ancient Egypt.
Oh, so mummified?
These remains are actually mummy dust.
Oh, shit.
Dang.
Shoot. Sorry, Mom.
This is not saint remains. This is remains of an ancient Egyptian powdered mummy.
Oh my god. I can't believe nobody got to him first to eat him.
Exactly. Well, once they do like carbon-14 dating analysis on these remains, they figure out that they date back to the 3rd and 6th century BC. So way older than Joan of Arc. So, like you just said, mummy would actually be quite common in the late 1800s in Europe because, like you said, people used to eat powdered mummy as, like, medicine, and also powdered mummy was used to make paint at the time.
What? You're gonna
Yes.
paint with dead people?
Hell yeah, they did. I gotta do that as a whole other topic, like deadly pigments. Because the shit that we made paint out of. Anyway, and the last kind of explanation is that, like, remember when I said that, like, Joan of Arc had her organs weren't burnt?
Yeah.
That is probably due to the fact that the fire wasn't hot enough the first time to, like, fully cremate her. We've talked about how hot a fire's got to be to cremate a body, and it just probably straight up wasn't hot enough. But these remains that were found, that they tested, they found to definitively not be her. So she truly probably does lie at the bottom of the Seine. But, we remember her for being a young woman who accomplished so much in a very short span of time. And even though, the cards were stacked against her at the end of her life, her story and her memory serves to, inspire people even to this day.
Yeah. What a brave lady.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Kick-ass brave lady, yeah. Next time you think something's too overwhelming or I can't do it, remember, that, in another time you could have been riding a horse into battle. You can totally do it. Nothing is without your capability.
I am the reincarnation of Joan of Arc.
How fucking yeah you are. Get out there. Fucking slay some English dudes.
I'm in.
So that was my story.
I loved it.
That was awesome.
That
Good
was
job.
great.
Thank you. It blew my mind at the end that I was like, it's mummy?
Yeah, that's a twist.
I was just shocked that they used a paint with mummies. Like what color even was that?
It's called Mummy Brown. Look it up. It is paint made of mummies. There are entire paintings, if you look them up, that are just paintings done in brown scale that are all mummy.
Wow.
It's real gross. Yeah. Ooh,
It sounds
Europeans.
gross.
Yeah. Oofa doofa.
Speaking of, this episode is brought to you by Mummy Brown Paint. You can get it at your local Sherman-Williams.
Muppy.
Sherman-Williams for all your muppy needs.
Oh my god.
Do you love unraveling a good old-fashioned whodunit? Oh honey, me too. I'm Alicia, armchair detective and host of Dead On, a true crime podcast. Join me every Friday. We'll dive into a case that scratches your itch for true crime, dark history, and mystery. Streaming now, everywhere you love to listen.
What were we advertising?
Mummy Brown.
Oh, yes. And for a limited time only, you'll get several mummy brushes. These were brushes made of mummy linens.
I
Order
would
now.
love one.
Yes.
That's my next birthday present.
Yeah. You only have to wait another year. I'm so sorry, actually. That's sad that you have to wait a whole other year for your Mummy Brown.
Happy recent birthday.
Thank you. Wasn't your birthday recent too?
It was.
When was it?
I'm the 19th.
On the 17th.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Leos, right?
Yes. I have like 5 different necklaces that say Leo on them.
Nice.
I'm committed.
Yeah, well, I don't know too much about zodiac signs, but I know that Leos are the best.
Oh, I could go on for hours. Just don't let me.
That'll be the next episode we have you for.
Yeah, I'll just sit here and talk about astrology. I like this sign. I don't like this one. I would name names, but I don't want anyone to get mad at me my first time here.
Those Tauruses.
Not quite.
I don't know.
Not quite.
Well, I thought I'd start out the second half of the show with a little interview with our guest.
Yes.
Ooh, let's get the scoop.
The only time I've been interviewed was at my middle school. We had like this YouTube channel, and every week some kid would run around with a microphone and ask you a question. So
like a man on the street type of interview, but like
yeah, exactly. But it's like a middle school kid that just comes up to you in the hallway or like walks into your class and is like, "What's your favorite school subject?"
Well, it's not math. Get away from me.
Exactly.
That would be your answer, I think.
I was the kid that would always say lunch.
That's a good one. I was also a noted scholar in lunch.
I actually might have to play you guys like the YouTube video because it's literally just this 1 second clip of me, and literally right after the clip, I dropped the microphone and broke it. And like my friends were sitting there and they were like watching this kid interview me, and there was this one kid with a camera, and then the other kid just like asked me the question, handed me the microphone, and then he's like, "Okay, good. Give me the microphone." And then he stuck out his hand, and I didn't stick my hand out far enough, so I just dropped the microphone. And then it broke, and I was already late to class, so I just said, "Sorry, I'm late," and then I left.
Sorry, this is your problem. Bye.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't know my name either, so I could just leave.
Oh, nicely done, Daisy.
As long as my friends didn't snitch, I was fine.
Well, good friends never do.
Exactly.
All right. Speaking of friends and youth, my first question, what do teens like other than TikTok?
Probably like shoes.
Hell yeah, can relate.
Yeah, shoes. We like jewelry, I guess, and then like
Crystals.
Mostly like females and stuff, but yeah, also like non-binary people, whoever.
Hell yeah.
We all like the mall. Most of us.
You go
to the
like
mall?
malls?
Yeah, I almost always whenever I'm there, I run into someone that I know.
Wow, I thought malls were dying. I'm glad to know that that's not true.
No, I was just there. I just went to Hot Topic for the first time.
Oh my god! How is that? Where you got that Linkin Park shirt?
Yep,
Hell
that's
yeah!
where I got a Metallica one and a 3 Days Grace one.
Oh my goodness! Yes, great job. You're doing fantastic.
Thank you. Well, I mean, like we all like TikTok, and if you don't, then you're just trying to be different because. Honestly, like I used to do that all the time. I was like, I I don't even like TikTok. I'm like not even into it. I'm like never on my phone, which was a lie.
I mean, I think I think we have that in common as well. I have a hard time admitting I like TikTok.
Yeah. I was so bad at like admitting to like stereotypes, but I'm not anywhere near the microphone. Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, it's mostly just shoes and like clothes and being on our phones in class when we're not supposed to.
Hell yeah. When you told your story about Minnie earlier in the show, when you said you left your Razor, I don't know why I thought this, but I thought you meant Razor flip phone.
I was thinking that you were going to say like the Razor scooter, and like I was just imagining your cat like on a scooter, and it's hilarious.
That'd be awesome.
I was going to say and you didn't get a picture?
I would pay to see that.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
All right, my second question. What is your, Daisy's, favorite period in history?
Okay, you told me about the questions yesterday, and I completely forgot about all of my answers to all of them.
You said
I said like
Victorian,
like the Victorian area, like with all the poison and
Hell
like
yeah.
Lizzie Borden.
I love the Lizzie Borden story.
Hell yeah, and the clothes from then are fabulous as well. A real interesting era, like I was talking about with the dangerous pigments.
Yeah, dangerous.
Yeah,
and like dangerous makeup.
Oh yeah,
and all that stuff that was like incredibly unhealthy that people would just put on their faces.
Yeah, they went to town in the Victorian period. There's two things that they loved, which was arsenic and lead. And it was in everything.
Yeah, I love that.
I remember you texted me after the Lizzie Borden episode and the Edgar Allan Poe episode. They're the same. It's the same one. Sorry.
Yeah, we were learning about it in language arts. Like the same day that it came out, we started learning about Edgar Allan Poe, and I was like, oh, this is current to my life.
See, we're doing God's work, Sophie.
Exactly.
Hell yeah. I'm glad that was like actually useful to you.
Yeah, and then like I told my language arts teacher about it, and she's like, oh, that's awesome, but do your work. And I was like,
yeah, all right, fair.
Yeah.
Hey, you were learning, okay?
I wasn't supposed to be listening to it during class, but that's like the only reason she was upset about it. I left that part out because
for sure.
The entire year, sorry to my mother, she's listening to this, but the entire year I had my headphones in like the entire time, and I just was constantly spacing out. But that's okay because I learned stuff from the podcast. So
good.
There you go.
I don't know how to use a semicolon, but I can listen to podcasts.
You know about Lizzie Borden?
Yeah, I could literally write a report on her. Exactly.
I think just as valuable.
I know, exactly.
And Lizzie Borden brings me in perfectly to my next question, which I think might bring up a little bit of a discussion, I hope. Are teenagers too young to hear about true crime?
I mean, like, I'm biased because I always want to be like included in everything. Like, I remember like when you first started the podcast, I was like 11, and I asked my mom if I could listen to it, and she's like, it might be too mature for you, and then I asked you about it, and you're like, no, we swear, and I was like, oh, okay. And I didn't like know how Spotify worked or anything, but then I figured it out, and I've always been really interested in like murder mysteries and just like puzzles and stuff. So I don't know. It's really cool to like have something that you can like take around and like listen to. And like I remember I texted you one time about like how like it's really corny, but like how much this podcast like genuinely means to me, because I would literally just be sitting like, because I like had like the worst year of my life last year, just like a ton of stuff going on like outside of school, and like I didn't want to go to school, but like I would have my headphones and I would have my phone and I would just like play the podcast, and that's like genuinely just like what would get me through the day, because I like had some sort of distraction, and I like it's kind of corny.
No, it's not, but it's making me tear up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you keep going, you're gonna make me cry.
Yeah, I'm glad to have been there for you when I wasn't physically there.
Yeah, it's like it was so funny, and then I would spend like half the day advertising it to all my friends. I'd be like, Go listen to it.
Yes,
Go
I
listen to
hear
it.
you're our best hype woman.
I am. I'm like, whenever anyone brings up a podcast, I'm like, hey, I got one.
That's amazing. I don't know. I want to tell you that it means a lot to me that you love the podcast so much that we could be there for you, like,
Yeah.
whenever you needed us.
Yeah, it's a great, like, that's why I did not understand. And my mom, love you, Mom. You listen to Dax Shepard. She loves Dax Shepard. She's listened to him, like, I don't know if she listens to him too much anymore, but she was really into him for so long. And it was adorable because he would like her comments on Instagram and she would get really excited about it.
Oh my God,
Oh my
that's
God,
pretty cool. Yeah.
That is
I know.
cool. I didn't know
I was
that.
like, Mom, you're famous.
You're in with Dax.
I know.
Well, okay. Bringing it back,
Yeah.
I'm curious, Sophie, do you think teenagers are too young to hear about true crime?
I don't know. I'm of two minds on that because, like, the very first thing that I think of is, like, when I was a teenager, I wasn't specifically interested in, like, true crime as much as I was interested in, like, gruesome historical events.
Sure, yeah.
So, like, similar genre.
Sure, yeah. I feel like we can lump those in together
Yeah, exactly.
for our purposes.
It's a
Yeah.
lot better than things I could be watching or like listening to. It's a lot worse.
That's kind of my thought, is that, like, a lot of these true crime podcasts, at least the ones that, like, I feel like your aunt would endorse, their focus is, like, victim focused and
Yeah.
it's, like, self-defense focused. And I think
Yeah.
as a, like, young woman especially, or as a young femme in general, there's a lot of things in this world that are, I mean, out to get you is, like, a hard way to phrase it, but, like, there's a lot of dangerous situations you can find yourself in if you don't have a certain amount of awareness for the way that people commit these type of crimes, whether it be kidnapping or murder or other types of,
Yeah.
like, a hideous assault. Like, just knowing things of, like, always sharing your location with people, or
Yeah.
always making sure to text a friend the full name of someone you're hanging out with, or making sure to have something to protect yourself when walking alone at night. These are things that are, like, it's generational knowledge for femmes, but I think, like, when you're a young person, when you're a teen, like, that is when you're starting to be opened up to, like, the realities of life.
Yeah.
And I don't think teens are that fragile that they can't handle that, incorporate that into their psyche. But, like, on the other hand, like, even as a person in my early 20s, listening to too much true crime would really freak me out. I'd be walking around at night thinking, there's going to be someone around every corner ready to fucking grab me. But I think after a while that paranoia fades and you take, what you can from it.
Yeah, I definitely had, like, stuff like that when I first started listening to stuff. But then, like, the more that you, like, expose yourself to it, it's, like, just easier to, like, deal with. Like, I could literally just, like, listen to, like, some horrifying documentary and then I'd just be able to fall asleep. It depends how tired I am. But I also, like, it's just the way that you think about it. Like, I definitely like when podcasts are, like, more, like, focused on, like, the victims rather than, like, the people who committed the crimes, because that's, like, I feel like the people who commit crimes already have, like, enough recognition, so it's a lot better to toss things over to the victims, because it's like you, if something happened to you and then the person who did something horrible is getting all the credit for it, it's like,
it's wrong.
it's better to, like, have credit for what you've been through than to, like, watch someone else get credit for doing whatever you've been through. That's, like, the way I think of it.
Yeah, and the glamorization of these people,
of, like, criminals and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Is, like you said, it's just straight up wrong. Period.
Yeah, it's not. It's just like I don't want to get too far into it. Like, but like all the stuff about, like, romanticizing, like, Ted Bundy and stuff like that. It's just, that pisses me off so much. It's like he's a conventionally attractive male. It doesn't matter. He's a horrible person. Like,
Yes, murdering people makes you ugly on the inside and the outside.
exactly.
Like, him and fucking
fun.
Richard Ramirez, people want to, like,
Oh my god. That guy is ugly as hell.
thank you. Thank you.
So is Ted Bundy. He looks like he's been like holding in like constipation for like 25 years. It's like, how do you even like find this man attractive? He looks like
he's been holding in a fart his whole life.
I was just gonna say he's a murderous fart machine. You don't want to get anywhere near him. Don't let him
exactly
lure you in. He looks like he's been kicked by a horse. I don't like it.
Exactly. That's like the perfect way to describe it. He looks so uncomfortable, and like the way that like the movie they made about him, his portrayal is like Zac Efron.
Yeah,
it's like, why would you do that to Troy Bolton? Troy deserves better than goddamn Ted Bundy. Like, are you kidding me? Yes. I did not watch High School Musical for Troy to turn out to be a serial killer, and I'm very upset about it.
Yeah. Get him back to throwing sand on golf courses.
Exactly. He should be doing musical numbers with basketballs.
Yeah, not murdering women.
Yeah, I like when they like make like documentaries, but I don't like actual movies, because like, again, it like focuses on the person who committed the crime, and it's just like, rather have like a documentary about like the victims and their lives before and how much like it impacted everybody else. It's a lot more important than giving all this credit to people who are horrible.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's the right mindset to have when you're listening to true crime.
Yeah. It's just like, respect the victims, don't really respect whoever did it. I mean, like, one thing is like, I heard somewhere that like there's always a reason to like do things, but there's never like an excuse for it. Because I feel like a lot of serial killers had like some sort of like mental problems, which doesn't mean that like everyone with mental problems is going to be a serial killer, obviously, but it like there's a reason for it, but it's not like anywhere near like an excuse. Like, if someone was treated horribly in their childhood and then they start killing people, that's not an excuse for it, but like it might make a little bit of sense why.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit, the episode that came out today, we were talking about, what was it, the Lonely Hearts Killers?
Mm-hmm.
Where one of them was a woman with like a glandular problem, and she was like bullied pretty mercilessly throughout her life. But then when we were talking, there's other people who have been bullied for, their medical stuff, and they don't murder people with a hammer. Yeah,
so, exactly.
Well, believe it or not, folks, I am not doing a true crime case today.
What?
I was just curious what y'all's opinion was. You said it perfectly. I don't know where I fall on that. So today we are going to be talking about the Mothman.
The Mothman.
The Mothman.
And this was requested by Daisy, and I'm going to let her tell you like why she likes the Mothman.
I really like the Mothman. I mean, obviously, it's like named out. It got its name from like a comic, which is like kind of cool to have like this supernatural being named after some dumb comic book character. But also, I've always been really interested in it. I mean, like, at least recently, because so this one time when I was like 10 years old, I was so horribly sick, and I was like throwing up all over the place, which is disgusting. But I just bumped into your head.
Yeah, it's
sorry.
Okay.
Hang on. I get the microphone now.
Hell yeah.
But so I was so incredibly sick, and I like couldn't really like eat anything because I would just throw it right back up. So basically my parents let me stay home from school because they weren't going to make me go to school if I was just going to sit there and throw up on other kids, no matter how much I wanted to.
Yeah, I bet you wanted to go to school. You were like, please, Mom and Dad, let me go to school. I'll try not to hit the teachers with my vomit.
Let me avenge my bad grades. No, but I was really sick, and my dad stayed home with me because it was like one of the days where he was able to work from home, and he didn't actually end up working. I was in my parents' room, and then me and my dad just sat there and we were watching all these documentaries, just like on like the History Channel, and so there was one about like this World War II bunker, and then the one that I remember the most, the one that we watched, was a documentary on the Mothman.
Hell yeah, here he comes.
And so basically, I just remember that we were laughing the whole time because it was like, it just sounded like so like dumb, like as like a 10-year-old and like a grown man just like sitting there just watching a documentary on this like man bird bat thing. but it, like, I don't know. I it's like the only like documentary I really like remember watching, and I was very interested by it. Like it creeped me out, but it was also cool as hell because it was like I've always been into like mythical creatures and stuff. Like I don't necessarily believe like that they're real. Like I was a avid Harry Potter reader. Very, very big fan. You can thank Katelyn for that. She got me into it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I taught her well.
She taught me well.
Aww.
But I was so interested in the fact that like it's not like a 100% real thing that happened. It's kind of just like an idea, but there's like a lot of like correlation with it, and it's also like nowhere near here.
There's some separation.
Yeah,
from it.
like I live near Portland, so I'm perfectly fine because this went down in like West Virginia. So I'm cool with that as long as there's no bird at my window tomorrow. I'll be fine.
No hulking figure with red eyes,
God, I
giant
hope
black
not.
wings.
It might just be my sister.
It's gonna be Caitlin scaring the crap out of you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's Minnie with a razor.
Yes. It's Minnie with a knife.
Not Mama Ginger Tree.
The revenge of Mama Ginger Tree.
She's mad we changed her name.
Yeah. Well, I am so ready to hear about Mothman. I love Mothman, and I feel like I don't know too much about Mothman, other than, like you said, like the interesting thing that like his appearances, quote unquote, correlate with some like real life events.
Yeah, exactly.
So, sources for this were an episode of Supernatural with Ashley Flowers, which was published on June 2nd, 2021. That's the host of Crime Junkie, who I cited last week. An article from All That's Interesting, an article from SouthernLiving.com.
Southern living.
Yeehaw!
I guess West Virginia is part of the South, I guess. I don't know. I don't know.
West Virginia is West Virginia.
An article from WCHS TV and Wikipedia, of course. So,
Sorry, I moved the microphone.
yeah, don't move the mic when I'm talking.
Sorry.
All right, is it in the right place?
Yeah, you're
I
good.
hope so.
Okay. So, like Daisy said, this story mostly takes place in West Virginia. The Mothman is what is known as a cryptid. It's like a humanoid-looking creature that's also got wings, and it was mostly seen in the Point Pleasant area of West Virginia from about November 15th, 1966 to December 15th, 1967. So about 1 year.
I always love when this kind of stuff goes down in the modern era. Like, you know, there's so little, you know, science is wonderful and like, you know, world travel and globalization, but there's so like few like magic and questions that I feel like you still get these types of reactions from people in the modern era about stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So the first sighting, and this was only in some of the sources, not all of them, but I'm going to put it in there. You'll see why. First sighting was from grave diggers working at a cemetery in Clendenin, West Virginia. I don't know if I said that right. And they spot this thing that looks like a man with wings flying through the trees above the cemetery.
Can I read that one?
Oh, sure.
We'll switch off every now.
I love that.
This is a direct quote from my sources.
Yeah, a direct quote. So after the gravediggers in November, a few days later, there were two young couples from Point Pleasant, and they reported being chased by a large creature while driving near a former military mutation site.
Munition site.
Munition site.
And that's like where old bombs and guns and stuff would be, I think.
That shows up a lot. And then...
Did the government make Mothman?
Unclear.
I hope so. And then, okay, so the first newspaper report was published in the Point Pleasant Register, dated November 16th, 1966, titled, quote, "Couples see man-sized bird, ... creature, ... something, end quote.
Man-sized bird. Creature. Something.
You literally hear that in the title.
Yeah.
Like, you hear the panic in the newspaper person's, like, writing.
The journalist was like, how do I get across what I'm feeling right now?
Yeah.
How do I get the confusion across?
Yeah. I mean,
So-
I'm right there with him.
Yeah, exactly.
So 2 of the eyewitnesses, Roger Scarberry and Steve Mallet, told the Point Pleasant Register that this creature had red eyes that were about 6 inches apart, and they thought the wingspan was 10 feet.
Fuck, that's a story.
Yeah, and apparently it didn't like the bright headlights of their car, because remember, they're driving.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Apparently, they were able to see how fast it could fly, which some people say it was 100 miles per hour, because the thing chased their car from
Whoa.
wherever they were hanging out, making out in their spot, and then they see this creature and it's flying after their car.
But it's a really clumsy runner.
Yes.
It can't walk properly.
I mean, that sounds like, it sounds funny, but it also sounds like that would make it way creepy too. Like if you see
Yeah.
this thing with giant wings just kind of stumbling, like,
Yeah, if it's
flip-flop
just
running.
Trudging around.
Ugh, no, I don't. You know what?
horrifying.
I've decided I don't like that.
So one of the witnesses, Scarberry, said that he could not have made this shit up. That's not a direct quote. But basically he told the paper, quote, why don't you read that?
Did I put an accent on it or what?
Yeah,
Yes.
please.
If I had seen it while by myself, I wouldn't have said anything. But there are 4 of us there who saw it.
Daisy, I'm gonna hire you as my voice actor.
I'm in.
So this is the gravediggers, and then this sighting with the 4 people, 2 couples in the car. Some sources say the couples in the car is the first sighting, but some of them say it was these gravediggers. So because this is Anything Bones, I choose to start with gravediggers.
Yep.
That's
And
appropriate.
then over the next year-ish, the Mothman sightings just like skyrocketed, the number of them.
Yeah.
So there were 8 additional sightings in about the first 3 days after the claims. And one of the reports was from volunteer firefighters, which is like, why would firefighters lie?
Yeah.
I don't know.
They said that they saw a very large bird with large red eyes.
Yeah, I tend to believe firefighters.
I tend to as well.
I would too.
So there was often a deep sense of dread after these sightings, and a lot of local people kind of knew the area where Mothman was rumored to live and be sighted a lot, and it was a vacant nuclear power plant outside of Point Pleasant. So
The government.
some people think it's the government's secret monster. I don't know.
I mean, come on, grow up, wake up, open your eyes. The Mothman is a governmental experiment gone wrong, and he's coming for you. He's going to fly across the country, and he's coming for you.
Newell Partridge, a resident of Salem, West Virginia, claimed that he saw strange patterns appearing on his television screen one night, followed by a mysterious sound just out of his home. Shining a flashlight toward the direction of the noise, Partridge supposedly witnessed 2 red eyes resembling bicycle reflectors looking back at him. This anecdote remains a popular one in the Mothman mythos, especially since it allegedly led to the disappearance of his dog.
Whoa, Mothman took his dog?
Mothman took his dog.
Yeah.
God, that's terrible.
That was a quote from the All That's Interesting article.
That's fascinating. It's interesting how you have these first, almost like twin accounts that are like, you were saying they're so close to each other, the couple and the gravediggers, that we don't know who saw it first. And then now we're getting these boom, boom, boom accounts in the next couple of days.
Yeah, exactly.
So the sightings are really big for a while, and then they continue for the next year, but then they come to an abrupt halt
Oh.
in December 1967 after a horrific tragedy.
Mothman was not on Christmas break?
No.
He doesn't deserve one. Not after he took the dog.
That's true. No Christmas for dog stealers.
Exactly.
So unfortunately, in December 1967, the Silver Bridge, which went over the Ohio River, collapsed under the weight of rush hour traffic and killed either 46 or 47 people.
Oh, that's horrible.
And though the collapse was attributed to a suspension chain that wasn't working correctly, because the Mothman sightings and this bridge collapse happened pretty close to each other, and the bridge collapse seemed to stop the Mothman sightings, it didn't take too long before these two things were connected.
I mean, that's what people love to do. They love to point out, like, you know, correlation and be like, was it the Mothman?
The Mothman caused the bridge to collapse.
I think it was the dog.
Was he working for the Mothman or working alone?
The Mothman manipulated him.
He converted the dog.
Yeah.
Oh my
Poor
goodness.
dog.
But like,
poor dog.
On like a more serious note, like when there's like a tragedy like this, I think it's a pattern that we've seen with these type of tragedies. It can be really hard for people to just like
accept it.
Yeah, be cool with the fact that it was like, you know, a faulty, like, you know, wire or whatever you were saying, that, you know, something as hideous as this had to be supernaturally motivated.
Yeah.
So that was amped up because in 1975, an author named John Keel wrote a book called The Mothman Prophecies, where he connected the Mothman and the bridge collapse, and then he also threw in a little bit of UFO shit.
Of course.
And paranormal stuff, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So his story, like, just intrigues people. And so Point Pleasant becomes very popular among conspiracy theorists, people who study UFOs, and anybody who's a fan of spooky shit.
Mm-hmm.
And so that book came out in 1975. And then as recently as 2002, a very popular movie of the same name, The Mothman Prophecies, came out and reignited interest in the Mothman, which, you know, it ebbs and flows like lots of things in life.
Mm-hmm.
But the movie stars Richard Gere and Laura Linney. So I did not watch it, but I want to.
I was going to say, you guys didn't have time to watch the Mothman Prophecies?
Well, it's not.
Is it
nonfiction? It's fiction. I mean, the whole thing is fiction, but you know what I mean.
Hey, what are you saying about the Mothman?
I actually have like a theory about it that I'm just gonna wait till the end.
Oh yeah,
because I do have like a genuine theory that I think kind of it makes sense to me at least.
There's a section at the end where I'm gonna talk about theories, so we'll put that in there.
Yeah.
And basically over time, you know, the idea that the Mothman's presence precludes some kind of terrible disaster became part of the lore of Mothman. So there were Mothman sightings before the Chernobyl incident in 1986, before the Mexican swine flu outbreak in 2009, and the 2011 nuclear disaster in Fukushima, Japan. And there was even, I think it was on Supernatural, that Ashley Flowers said that some people claim to have seen Mothman before 9/11.
I definitely see why people would consider it as like a bad omen, because it does like make a lot of sense.
Okay, so this part is, we're taking it up to 2016 when there was a very recent sighting. So this is from the WCHS TV article.
Yeah, so a man who says that he was driving along State Route 2 said he saw something jump from tree to tree, and he pulled off the road and he took some pictures of him. But the man declined an on-camera interview, but he was adamant the pictures had not been doctored. He's basically just saying that, like, there's no way that he could have, like, photoshopped it, and that it's just, like, completely real.
And he doubles down because he's like, I'm not even from Point Pleasant, so I didn't even know about the Mothman.
Yeah, he said that he recently moved there, and he didn't know that it was a legend.
Let me, real quick, let me send you the picture, so you can see for yourself. Have you seen it? Did I show you, Days?
No, but I'll see it.
Oh my god.
I mean, you might have shown me last night.
Oh, yeah. Who knows? Let's see.
We're having a look at the Mothman.
This is the image from 2016. I took a screenshot from a video from the news.
It's so weird.
Whoa. Wow, that really does look like a guy with wings.
Yeah, I mean, what else would that be? And listeners, you can go on Instagram or Facebook to look at this. I mean, I think it could be legit. It's a very large bird shaped like a man, if not. I'm going to send you our favorite rendering of the Mothman as well.
It's great.
Just because it's divine.
All right, here we go, Mothman. Oh, hi, Mothman.
He's so cute, right?
He is cute. I like how furry he is.
He looks adorable for like how horrible he's supposed to be.
I know, and I like how in the corner of this picture there's a little picture of him next to a man for scale.
Yes,
so that you know that he's big.
He big.
His little eyes are so cute. I know he's supposed to be scary, but this is a very fun rendering of Mothman.
I know, right?
I've got a great one for you to finish out the pictures. There is a 12-foot tall chrome statue of Mothman.
It's beautiful.
In Point Pleasant, and it is either nearby or in front of the Mothman Museum, which is a real thing.
Which is a place we must go.
Apparently,
exactly.
Yes. So here's ripped gym rat Mothman.
The first thing I said when I saw it, I was like, why does it have abs?
Why is Mothman cut?
It's
Why
weird.
is Mothman so beefed out?
Exactly.
It's upsetting.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness, Mothman.
That feels violating to look at.
Yeah, I can't say this is my favorite Mothman, but
It's not.
But it's definitely the Mothman you want maybe pulling you out from under like a collapsed building or something. He looks strong as hell.
Exactly.
Mothman, fly me away.
In Point Pleasant, once you check out Gym Rat Mothman, you can also go to the Mothman Festival, which is actually coming up. It's in September every year.
Oh my god. Can you get school credit for the Mothman Festival?
I really hope so. That would look great on a college application.
I think so. Queen of the Mothman Parade? Hell yeah.
I saw the Mothman. So
I shook hands with. I have a letter of recommendation from the Mothman.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I've taken you from the Mothman sightings of the early 60s to current Mothman, which is the most recent sighting was 2016. Pretty good sighting.
Mm-hmm.
But what are the theories? That's how I want to kind of close this out, because it's crazy.
Yeah, what do people think is going on with this mothed man?
Yeah. So, I mean, the main theory is that it is some kind of cryptid, like supernatural, paranormal, those are the same things, creature, monster.
Yeah.
So that's the first
Should I say
theory.
mine, like, before we read the other ones?
Yeah,
just
go
in
for
case
it.
there's one, like, exactly like mine.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so I have a fairly solid theory. At least it's solid in my mind. I think that it makes a lot of sense to me. But I think that it has something to do with the nuclear power plant, and that, like, the chemicals around there are just making people go crazy. And they're, like, all, like, I mean, like, it's kind of a stretch that they would all hallucinate and see, the same thing. But they also could, like, have no idea what they're actually seeing. And then there's one person who described it, and then they're just kind of going off it. And it also could just be, like, some weird-looking bird. It's like... But I definitely think it's something, like, with, like, it has to do... In my mind, it's something to do with, like, the TNT thing. That's what they would call it, like, the TNT.
The area where the Mothman tends to be sighted is known by the locals as the TNT area.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, and what?
But I also think that there's at least one person who's lying. Like, if that goes along with, like, what I'm saying, I think that there's at least one person who's lying. I'm not sure who, obviously, because this happened, like, 20-some years ago. But it would make sense to me that, like, I think that, like, hallucinating makes a lot more sense to me.
That sounds pretty logical, especially if it's a type of bird that people don't see very often.
Yeah. So also, I'm glad you went first, actually. That was smart, because I like what you said, that it could be that the nuclear waste or whatever affected the people, the witnesses, but some people also think that those chemicals could have been what caused some kind of bird to look absolutely jacked and crazy.
That
the bird
makes
the
sense.
bird got into the TNT
That
area
also
shit.
makes sense to me.
Yeah, I think that's both of those theories are so interesting because I think that they both could have some validity to them.
So some people think that this was a prankster. I have trouble believing that because a lot of the witnesses saw it fly. So in the 60s, I don't think we had jetpacks.
Yeah, we were lacking jetpacks and hoverboards at that time.
That sucks.
There is a bird called the sandhill crane that a lot of people...
I did a project on those, and I interrupted you. I did a project on sandhill cranes in first grade, and I got a really good grade on it. That's all I wanted to say.
Hell yeah.
Did you talk Mothman in that report?
No, I had no idea what that was. I was like 6.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But basically, all I remember is that the wingspan of it is 2 Mrs. Prices long. It was the wingspan of my math teacher stacked on top of each other.
Oh my god.
That's how she described it to me, and that made perfect sense. And
So
now I have no idea what that means.
Listen, Daisy, the wingspan is about 2 me's long. Are you writing that down?
Okay, I'll make a mental note of that next time I need to do a project on a sandhill crane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I read their wingspan is about 7 feet, so that tracks.
Well, she wasn't like 3 feet tall.
Yeah, well, they are big.
Yeah, that's the point.
Let me put it this way. They also have red, like, flesh or feathers or whatever around their eyes.
Yeah, red eyes, so.
Not sure how the eyes would have been glowing, but some people say that maybe,
Radioactive crane.
The radioactive crane, or like the act of looking at it with a flashlight or with your car headlights makes the eyes look like they're glowing.
Yeah.
You know when you like flash like lights in the eyes of like cats or dogs and their eyes kind of like glow or reflect?
Like when you take a picture.
Yeah.
I don't really have a good ending for this. Those are kind of the theories. Mothman is a bringer of bad vibes. And I hope I don't see him ever because I want to live a happy, chill life.
That's just you. I'm going straight to West Virginia.
Daisy is going to Mothman Town tomorrow.
I would love to. Sophie, do you want to go with me?
Hell yeah. I will be your chaperone. Let's go see the
good.
Mothman.
I need an adult.
Yeah, I have been categorized as an adult before.
Okay, that's really good for me.
Yeah, I pay the taxes and the rent, I think.
That's good.
No, I love the Mothman. I love when cryptids have connections to like real life events. I love that people are still seeing the Mothman to, nearly to this day. I'm pretty sure I read something at some point that like Mothman showed up in Chicago or something. Like someone thought that they saw Mothman in Chicago. And I just think that's so funny that the Mothman was like maybe just on a vacation and someone caught a look at him and he's like, God damn it, I gotta make something bad happen now.
Exactly.
Someone saw me.
That might have been the 2016 sighting. Let me just check where that article was from.
You know why I know this?
Why?
Some of my favorite podcasters are the McElroy brothers, and they are from West Virginia. And they were doing a live show, I think, probably around that time. And they were saying how they were in Chicago, and so was the Mothman.
Oh my God.
He followed them.
That's what I was wondering. I was like, theory number 4. Is it the McElroy brothers all stacked up on top of each other?
Do not leave West Virginia.
Yeah.
Get back there, boys.
That 2016 sighting was in Point Pleasant. I forgot that his rationale for everything was that he was like, I'm not from here. I didn't know.
I have no idea what that is. So, I have no idea what that is.
But, Mothman is probably in Chicago. I won't stop him.
I want to shake his hand or his claw.
Yeah,
no idea what he has.
His wing.
I don't want to shake his wing.
His meaty weightlifting hands.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, this has been such a special treat.
Yeah.
I love this so much.
Thank you so much for being our teen correspondent.
I am very happy to be here. Really
Make sure you follow us on Instagram or Facebook if you haven't already. Hit up Apple or Spotify or Stitcher and give us a review, that would be so tight.
Yeah.
Oh my god, Daisy, what's your favorite bone?
Yes.
Or a favorite right now? I forgot to include this in the interview questions. I've stumped you.
Oh no, Katelyn, this is gotcha journalism.
I've gone silent. I'm just thinking.
The woman was too stunned to speak.
The toe.
Hell yeah. We love a toe bone.
All right. Treat your toes with respect. And then...
Respect the toes. Take care of your toes whenever you think of me.
All right, let's give him a bone voyage. Ready?
Bone voyage.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to Anything Bones. Follow us on Instagram or Facebook at Anything Bones Podcast, or email us at anythingbonespodcast@gmail.com.
Thank you to Nick Kruger for our spooky music and Stephen Vetteroff
At Chubby Scrubby on Twitter.
for our jazzy vocals, and thank you to Camilla Franklin
At Camilla Strader on Instagram.
for our beautiful bony artwork. Please rate, review, and subscribe.
Teens like witchcraft, heresy, and dressing like a man.
Maybe not the last one for me specifically, but yes.